From his underwhelming hyper charge to his fast growing counters, many find it puzzling why Sprout is so good still. Well, to answer that question, we'll be diving into Sprout's history. On April 10, 2020, Sprout was released. Now Sprout's damage used to be much more higher, and its super can be destroyed by an invulnerability shield, so you can legit spawn cap the enemy's skull. But what made this worse was that you can get a super in just only 4 shots, and alongside that you can make the siege bot suffer with its super, and destroy everyone in Bounty with the start bar overgrowth, which makes every single of its attack explode in a larger radius, which is one of the key difference. And another key difference is that this didn't work if it directly hits the enemy before Bounty, and also it actually used to be 50% larger in radius. But if you thought that was all the crazier things, it goes more crazier with his Garden Molcher gadget, which used to give Sprout 3000 health back from a bush, and this is way higher than our current healing from this gadget, so this is actually basically extra life back in the days if you can find it in time. But how does this translate to competitive matches? Well, people constantly raging because of its ridiculous wall. Yes, its wall was actually a big deal back in the days. Now, if you look at the brawlers who were in the game at the time, obviously there's no Edgar or damage brawlers that can rush Sprout, and those that were in the middle were Daryl, but you can really counter him with its wall. So because of the build Sprout had, Sprout was pretty good in release, mostly because of his overgrowth star power and covers his other things. So the Brawl Stars dev team went quickly to work on April 15, 2020. This was the day when he received its first ever nerfs. First of all, brawlers can now destroy Sprout's hedge with their invulnerability shield, so you can no longer camp players, which was great. Next, its healing went down from 3000 to 2000 from its Garden Molcher gadget. And finally, its overgrowth star power radius got smaller by 50%, so this is basically the same amount as right now. And this did stop the Sprout cheese in Brawl Ball, and also toned down the overgrowth star power / gadget. But Sprout was pretty solid because this barely affected him. But speaking of his first star power, on April 22, Sprout's second star power, Photosynthesis, was added to the game. Photosynthesis had the exact same stats as right now, with a 30% shield while in a bush. This shield does last a few seconds after leaving a bush, and with the release of the star power, many consider Sprout as a tanky drawer, because when compared to other drawers, Sprout has way more defensive mechanics. Now if you compare the star power to the first one, they're both pretty good. This one is pretty good in bushy maps, while Overgrowth is better like in far range maps or like other maps. So both of them are pretty solid, but overall in the current state of Overgrowth with not having cooldown, it was far way better and was the thing that was making it very good. Alrighty, enough being that by them, let's go to the Tera Bazaar season. Sprout was showing in this meta with his new Tropical Sprout, a 29 gem skin, released on May 22, 2020. Now the newest brawler Gale in this meta isn't that of a huge threat. Sprout can easily counter Gale with his super. However, this was too noticeable at Supercell HQ, so in the following months of July, he got nerfed pretty bad. Now, at Supercell HQ, they were discussing about his overgrowth star power, so on July 2nd, he got complete change with that. Now, every single attack will have that extra sweet radius, but it will have a 5-second cooldown. And to chill out Sprout's super, Sprout needs 5 shots instead of 4 for Sprout's super, which of course did tone down Sprout in the next meta to the A tier, mostly because of that surge in star power being way too good previously, and this ended up giving his other star power a chance. But for the next few months, Sprout received cosmetics and his second gadget. On September 10, his winning animation for Sprout / Tropical Sprout was changed. On the 28th, the 149 gem skin Lunar Sprout was released, honestly the best Sprout skin in the game. But enough cosmetics, that's not what we're here for. On November 13th, Sprout's second gadget Transplant was released to the game. Now this was a game changer for Sprout, since this gadget gives his super back after placing. Of course that super gets destroyed, but this can cause Sprout to have way more super in the game. And even though this gadget is really good, Garden Molcher healing was still insane at this point in Sprout's history, which made Garden Molcher a bit more better. And another way they made him way better is that they made so that the end of his attack shows an X at the end on December 15th. So how is Sprout now? Well, if we go into this meta, we have Byron Edgar joining us, and Edgar is a new counter for Sprout. Now, there's also a lot of far range / mid range brawler in this meta, unlike previous metas, which can counter Sprout, so he's still in the A tier even though he got a gadget. And Supercell did notice this because on January 27, 2021, Sprout got an 8% health buff, which did help him out, but sadly, because this made Sprout kinda too good, Supercell won't be nice to Sprout anymore. On February 7th, they did fix an issue in Brawl Ball that made so he can't knock back Parkour boxes with his super. On April 7, his damage went down by 4%, and his Garden Moltres healing went down to 1500. Now, you may think this hit hard on Sprout, but Sprout actually went up to the S tier. This is due to the meta being a bit more friendly to drawers, since the brawlers that were good in December's meta have changed significantly, since all the biggest threats have gone down. But after that, in September's meta, he finally goes down to the A tier. Assassins and Far Range are pretty good in this meta, and they do counter Sprout. And brawlers added like Buzz, a brawler that can easily rush onto him, and Mortis, of course, were huge threats for Sprout in this metas. So because Sprout isn't like really good, Supercell can now chill out and give the last 2 changes that year. On October 1st, Sprout received the 79 gem skin Emerald and Ruby Sprout. Very good skin, honestly. But let me tell you something bizarre that he never actually knew about. You see, near this time, spikes got introduced which knocked back enemies, but Super had an issue that can break these spikes, which was not supposed to happen at all. So this was fixed on November 3, and it's shocking that it could do that. So let's quickly go to 2022, where we start off on January's meta. Sprout is pretty good still in the A tier. Now, in this meta, there's a lot of good takes, mostly because of the speed tier, recently being introduced with it having more speed in the past. Now, there aren't really any huge threat for Sprout in this meta, and since Sprout's pretty good with this build, that's why Sprout is still in the A tier in this meta. And you may be thinking, is Sprout going to be this good always? Well, no, March is a very interesting meta. Between our 2 time frames, brawlers like Fang got released, and Fang honestly was very broken at this time, and since he can rush Sprout and burst him easily, throwers are struggling in this meta, which is why he's at the B tier. Also, Sprout got True Silver and Gold skin on the 1st this month, and on the 17th this month, he got Crush Sprout, which is a 79 gem skin. But surprisingly, Sprout doesn't really get any changes until October, so let's see how it competes in our barrage of metas. Now, May's meta brought the addition of Janet and Bonnet. Both are very versatile and broken at this time. Now, both of them can easily counter Sprout, and drawers are still struggling in this meta. Now, Sprout did go up to the A tier barely, but that's due to Super, since other drawers don't really have a mechanic like that to help them out. So, a lot of brawlers in top pressure Sprout, and this led Sprout to be also in the A tier in July's meta. So, let's go to September then. Now, Sprout went to the B tier. Now, like many throwers, they just love walls, especially for Sprout. And in this meta, the maps aren't too Sprout friendly. Also, Sam can rush Sprout easily. He was like really good in this meta since he was very broken in release. This is a very similar story in November's meta. So let's go to the month where he actually get a change. On October 25th, Sprout received his supercharged gear, and with this, Sprout can charge his super in 4 shots instead of 5, which is very useful. But in December's meta, he's in the B tier. He's good when nothing really counters him, but if there's one single counter, you can shut down Sprout pretty easily. This is due to Sprout gaining way too many counters, and most of them are very good brawlers. So let me introduce you to Gray and Mandy. Now, Gray can directly teleport to Sprout, while Mandy's super can leave brawlers in any bad place, especially low health brawlers like Sprout. So, let's see if we can make a comeback in 2023. We now start off on February 28, 2023. Like many other brawlers, his class changed. He apparently was a support the whole time. Wait, that doesn't make sense. And now he's apparently considered as an artillery. Okay, I guess that does kind of make sense, but kind of doesn't make sense, honestly. But anyways, in the meta of March, he went up to the A tier. There's a lot more walls in the map, and in the additional invulnerability walls this update, this does really benefit Sprout. Also, aggressive brawlers are being played less, so Sprout is very good in this meta. This is a similar thing in May's meta and July's. So, let's go to September's meta where Sprout goes down to the B tier. Now, Hybriders have released this update, and a lot more drawers are much better in this meta than Sprout, which does downgrade Sprout a bit. Also, Scarlet Vulture gadget did get affected in this gadget because there's a power increase in this update, and this gadget didn't get any changes. But that doesn't really affect Sprout since, like, his second one's always used. They did fix this on October 24 and made it so that the amount of healing is based on power level, and its description change also. But in November's meta, Sprout does go up. This is due to his super getting more useful. Since Hypercharge bars are growing more in size, Super can help deplete their time with Hypercharge. Also, drawers are pretty good in this meta. But our final meta this year leads Sprout in an interesting spot. You see, this update brought 3 new brawlers, but we'll mention 2, since Larry and Laurie didn't get released at the time. Miko is a direct counter to any drawers, while Kid just bounce around like Miko with his super. And these brawlers were at the top of the meta, which made them very menacing. So Sprout's in the B tier. And now we're in our current year 2024. Let's start off on February 27, 2024. This is when Sprout receives its Hypercharged Thorns. When the enemy touches it, it gets damaged by 500 per second. It receives a 25% speed / damage boost and a 5% shield boost from activating the Hypercharge. Now, this Hypercharge is really only useful for the stat boost, since no one really touches Sprout's super. And this shows this in this meta, Sprout only went up a bit to the A tier, which shows that it isn't as good as other Hypercharge. Also, Larry and Lottie were very better drawers at this time, since they were very broken, but this still ended up helping Sprout to compete better. But alright, before we go to the final meta, let's take a detour for his mutation. Now, during the Godzilla event on April 29th, Sprout's mutation made his regular attack Fire 2. Now, compared to other mutations, this was not very good. Anyways, ignore that, let's take a look at the current meta. Now, Sprout is pretty good in this meta, being in the A tier of course. Now, the maps are pretty good for him, and Sprout is currently the best thrower in the game, since Supercell overloaded Larry and Lottie with so many nerfs. But speaking of strong brawlers, there's actually a brawler that's actually broke last year's World Final. Check out this video.